This first exercise is a press-up preparation. It's a box press-up. So Jasmine, if I can just get you onto all fours, please, with your knees directly under the hips and the hands directly under the shoulders with a neutral pelvis. Just bring your knees directly under the hips because they're slightly behind. All fours position is one of the hardest positions for clients to be in because there's so much that can go wrong. The knees can be behind the hips or in front, the hands can be in front of the shoulders or behind. The pelvis can often be in a bit of a cat stretch, or it can be dumped down with an exaggerated lumbar curve. The head can be flopping down, the shoulders can be hiking up or collapsing in between the scapula here. So it's often a difficult position for people to know because you can't actually see where you are. So one of the hardest positions to actually get right. Obviously, the obvious contraindications are wrist issues, along with knee problems, just for those people who can't kneel for whatever reason. If that's the case, we can do a down dog press up, tucking the toes under and lifting those knees off the floor and actually just bending the elbows and bringing the head towards the mat. If there's any knee issues here, otherwise knees come down. The wrist issues, you can get around that by coming onto the knuckles so that the wrists are in a much more of a neutral position. If that's uncomfortable, you can use props where the little kind of dumbbell props which lift your wrists and knuckles off the floor. So you can use a prop. Failing that, you could actually go into a kind of dolphin position where you're actually on the elbows instead, and in which case you're kind of just leaning the body weight forward and then pushing back, and that'll kind of get around those wrist issues. So let's assuming that you can, there's no wrist or knee issues, box press up. So in this basic position, the basic movement is just to bend the elbows on the inhalation and then to straighten them on the exhalation. Now, there's a couple of things that will make this harder or easier. So Jasmine, let's just do a couple. Now, she's got her hands shoulder width apart and directly under the shoulders. So as a rule of thumb, try to get your nose about level with your tallest finger as you bend down. So you're going to inhale as you bend, and then exhale to straighten back up. And the deeper you bend, the harder it is. Inhale to bend, and exhale pushing back up. Okay? So Jasmine, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say that would be for you personally?
About 3, 4.
About a 3 or 4. So if it's too easy, it's not really worth doing. We want to challenge ourselves. So really it should be working towards about a level 7. So a number of things can make this harder. The main thing is to actually lean the body weight forwards. You could change the hand position as well. The wider the hands, the easier. The more narrow the stance with the hands towards each other, the harder. If you point the elbows out to the side, east and west, then you've got biceps, your trapezius working, and your pectorals. Biceps will actually help on the way down, triceps will straighten on the way up. So if you wanted to make that harder, you could actually just point the elbows backwards, so it's predominantly triceps, one muscle group as opposed to 3. So it makes it much harder on that one particular muscle group. So you could, instead of the elbows pointing out wide to the side like this, you could turn them backwards so they're pointing directly back towards you, and that would be a little bit more challenging. But the main alteration, if you like, to make this exercise harder is the body weight leaning forward. So just try a little experiment here. Jasmine, just bring your knees forward a little bit because they're slightly behind your hips. So what I want Jasmine to do is widen her elbows a little bit, just widen her hands a little bit, yeah. And then try to get your nose all the way down to the floor, but level with your tallest finger, okay? And then the trick is to keep the head in the same position all the way up rather than to lean backwards. So again, bending the elbows, head comes down, and pushing up. Okay, now Jasmine, I want you to try to get your nose here. So a little bit further forward. What would you say that, that last repetition was on a scale of 1 to 10?
About 4.
4. So let's try to get the nose here. So much further forwards and then push up. What would you give that one, Jasmine?
7.
About a 7, okay? And what about if you put your nose here? So she's kind of leaning back now. Probably not even worth doing. What would you say? 1. Okay, so let's just say Jasmine was getting her nose kind of level with her fingers. And let's say she'd done about 5 repetitions. And let's say she's feeling about a 7, okay? So if the more repetitions she does, she's going to start to fatigue. So what originally felt like a 7 was now actually feeling like maybe an 8 or a 9. And what happens then is if she's tired, she'll start to pull back like this, okay? Or she'll scoop and lose her neutral position of the pelvis. So that's very important that she doesn't do that. So she's made it too hard for herself. So instead of getting her nose here, she's going to put her nose here. Now let's put her nose back here. And that might feel, again, more like a 7. But if she got it here and she misjudged it and got it too far back and it's gone to a 5, then again, she's making it too easy for herself. So what I'm saying is she's judging the next press up on the one before. If the one before felt like an 8, bring the nose in till it feels like a 7 again. If it feels like a 6, then take her nose back out till it feels like a 7 again. So kind of adjusting the movement so that each individual press up feels like a level 7. So she's staying within that challenge zone the whole time. I also just want you to not even bend the elbows yet. I just want Jasmine to lean forwards without bending the elbows so that she gets her shoulders way in front. Don't bend the elbows, just lean forward. Shoulders are way in front, keeping those ribs in, of the hands. Now there's a lot more pressure on the wrists here, so the wrists have got to be able to take it. But I can see Jasmine shaking now, and she's hardly bent her elbows. If she bends her elbows a little bit, just to there, and then without bending them anymore, lean forward a little bit more, and she's really shaking them. She's probably not even halfway down. And then gently coming back. That's a really tough one, that one. It's actually, I find that harder than a full press up, actually, because you can get so much body weight forward that you hardly have to have any bend in the elbows, but it is a little bit challenging on the wrists here. A couple of things in terms of technique here. When people bend the elbows, they can often sag those ribs, and they can often hyperextend the neck. So as Jasmine bends down, the shoulders hunch up to the ears, the neck hyperextends. You can see she's got that arch in her back. So we really want to keep those ribs in, keep the shoulders down, and almost keep a double chin. Okay, so that alignment, those ribs staying nice and tight, are in that neutral position. There's no hyperextension of the cervical spine or the lumbar spine. There's no hiking of those shoulder blades. So here, really, it's a lot of core stability to prevent that lumbar extension, and a lot of scapular stability, not only to prevent the shoulders from hiking up to the ears, but also to prevent collapsing in between those shoulder blades here. So really pulling the serratus anterior apart, pulling in the core and drawing down that lower trapezius, and really trying to keep the back of the neck, double chin, long. So you want to try to preserve that neutral position. And there's lots of ways that you can play around with this in terms of timing. So I could ask Jasmine to go down for a count of 4. So we go down, 2, 3, 4, and up, 2, 3, 4. We could do maybe 8 repetitions or even 4. And then we could go double time. So down for 2 and up for 2. And maybe we'll do 8 repetitions like that, followed by 8 singles. So down and up, down. Now Jasmine's staying at the top end of the range of movement here, but if I was to ask Jasmine to hold it, static hold, as low as she can, that's a tough one. We could go up an inch, down an inch. So it's end range movement right at that end, the harder end of the movement, rather than at the top end of the movement. And then gently relax. How are you feeling there, Jasmine?
Tough.
It's a tough one, that. So even though it's quite a beginner's exercise, you can still make it harder by taking the body weight forward, narrowing the hand position and the elbow position. Yeah? Well done.